Saul is on the radar from Chelsea many years. I know the player since many years. I was fighting in some other clubs for the players. It was never possible. So when the situation was in the very end that it is possible to have a loan, we were excited about it. I think he's exactly the type of profile that we can need to also give Jorginho and N'Golo sometimes the same.
Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today we're gonna discuss about Saul Niguez staying at Chelsea Football Club permanently. According to many reports going on right now, Chelsea already made their decision and they are going to keep Mr. Saul Niguez. That is going to cost the club around 35 million because we paid 5 million for his loan fee, and reportedly he's getting between 200 to 250k a week, which is a lot of money. Let me be honest, right? When we were linked with him at the beginning, I didn't want to see him at Chelsea Football Club, but that was because I wanted to protect the academy product. I wanted to give somebody in the team a chance instead of spending money. You know what I mean? But when we bought him or we took him on loan, I had to drop my agenda, you know what I mean, and support the guy, because anybody that will wear that blue jersey, I'm gonna support you. Even if I didn't like you to come to my team, when you start playing for me, I'm gonna have to support you 100%, praise you, banter and all that. So I am all in, if you can tell. And when he started really poorly in the Premier League, I was telling people to be patient because La Liga is completely different than the Premier League. So, I mean, he's my boy. What do you expect me to say? But deep inside, I know that he kind of blocked the way to certain academy product and even the people who are there already, you know, like Ross Barkley or let's say Ruben. You know what I mean? That was my thinking about it. So let me know what do you think about Saul Niguez staying at Chelsea Football Club for more than 1 year loan. We might sign him for 5 more years. Do we really need Saul Niguez when you have Conor Gallagher, you have Billy Gilmore, you can even have many other, you know, players from the loan army or from the academy who can play in the midfield, and we're not gonna waste any kind of money. Just think about it. But listen, if this is Thomas Tuchel demand, right? If he wanna keep Saul Niguez, he knows what to do with him, and then who am I to say no, you know? But I doubt a little bit. I think it's a little bit too soon to make this deal permanent, while we need somebody like Tchouameni or Declan Rice to come, because that is the position that we need the most people, you know? A destroyer, a CDM, or somebody who can be versatile, a center-back or midfielder like Declan Rice, of course. So I don't know, that is taking 35 more million on somebody that we don't really need. Don't get me wrong, Saul Niguez is gonna get better and better in the Premier League. He's gonna prove people wrong. He's gonna score a lot of goals and all that. I know that. But do we really need another person while you have so many of them for free, and you still need other players in other positions that we really need players? Just think about it. If we sign Saul Niguez permanently, that means that somebody like Ruben, Ross Barkley, and even Billy Gilmore, now nobody is safe here. We might have to sell few players in order to accommodate him. And I don't really want to pay that kind of money on somebody who is going to sit on the bench most of the time. Do you really believe that Saul Niguez can bench somebody like N'Golo Kante, Jorginho Frelo, and Kovacic, people like that, do you really think that if they are fit 100%? I know this season been a little bit different than other seasons because we've been suffering with a lot of injuries and illnesses and all that, but it doesn't happen that way every single year, and it doesn't mean that it's going to happen in the future. The funny thing is, when you are suffering with a lot of injuries, you miss certain players, and when everybody is there fit, and then you don't have enough time to play them. So it's a complicated situation. But for me, if I have to find somebody to be on the bench, okay, I will just use our academy product from the bench. You know what I mean? I am going to spend money on players that are guaranteed starters, and all the gap. If we have to fill some gaps, we can check on our loan army and the academy.
And I think potentially it's a destination that suits Saul very well. People have been talking about him for a long time as a player who really has the attributes that make him really well suited to the Premier League. Those are things that have made him stand out in La Liga and be a little bit different. He isn't your typical, what we might think of as a kind of a tiki-taka-esque Spanish midfielder. He's more of a Premier League style midfielder. So the question is, those qualities that have made him stand out and be a bit different in Spain, I guess the question is, does that make him ideally suited to Chelsea and to the Premier League? Or will he maybe lose a little bit of what made him special in the first place? There's no doubt he's a top quality player. He has been one of the top midfielders in Spain at times over the last few years. However, there has been a feeling at Atletico Madrid that his progress has stalled a little bit, that he hasn't quite gone on to become the player that I think everyone expected and kind of hopes that he might turn out to be. That he hasn't quite been comfortable with Diego Simeone. There've one or two issues there. There've been issues about where he's been playing for Atletico as well, because Simeone has tended to kind of use him as a kind of a multi-purpose, fit him in wherever the team needs him kind of player, and maybe he'd like a bit more stability and to play a bit more consistently in one position. But there's no doubt that Chelsea are getting a very, very good player and a player that can be really useful. And when we look at the deal, the fact that it looks like it's a loan with an option to buy, I think that's great from a Chelsea point of view because there's really no risk involved. Yeah, I think he's got a really good engine. He's a box-to-box midfielder, really. He gets up and down the pitch. He's a very good tackler. He's quite good positionally. He scores goals. He's not a frequent goal scorer, but he's a scorer of great goals. When the times that he's caught the eye over the years have been the times he's scored spectacular goals in big games. You think back to that famous goal he scored for Atletico Madrid against Bayern Munich in the Champions League. You think about, I think it was one of his first goals for Atleti was a bicycle kick in the derby against Real Madrid. So he's got that ability to score goals, but like I say, just don't necessarily expect him to do it with a great deal of frequency. I think he's quite a smart player. Like I say, he's been asked by Diego Simeone to play in all kinds of different positions. So he's played in central midfield, he's played out wide, he's played at fullback, he's played at wing back, and that requires a degree of tactical flexibility and I think kind of tactical intelligence as well. And we know that you need that at Chelsea right now because Thomas Tuchel is such a demanding coach that I think he expects that from his players. I think he'll view it as a challenge. I think he'll view it as a chance to prove himself because, like I say, he's lost a little bit of protagonism at Atletico Madrid over the last couple of years. We've seen someone like Marcos Llorente come in and kind of take on certain aspects of his role in the Atletico team. Koke as well. Those two have been preferred by Simeone over Saul. So I think he goes to Chelsea really with something to prove.